Power Punchers is back. D-Style, we are in the building.
Back, yo, this is HCP Prime Time Monday night. The best power hour in boxing. Power Punchers, let's go.
It's been 3 months. I've been itching to get back in here with you. It's been killing me, but we're back, baby. We are back. All right, and let's get these comments off the bat. Long Boxing is in the building. Showtime. Let's get it. Saludos to Nando, the former boxing trivia champion. HCP took that over. He's former.
He was the beta test champion. You know what I mean? Like we're trying it out.
Run PMC took that over. And by the way, we're going to get back to boxing trivia in a couple weeks. Just trying to get my feet wet again. But boxing trivia will be back. D-Style, of course, in the building. Our guy, Raw Boxing TV, is in the building. I was watching his show a couple nights ago, man. Great channel. Raw Boxing TV says, what's up, Cali? This is Power Punchers. D-Style in the building. Knockout by Kenny. Then that's the new channel. That's the new channel. I've been watching his videos too, man. Good content too. So shout out to him. And Steven 4722 also in the
You guys noticed that Cali said, it's been killing me not doing the show, right? But it was 3 months, ladies and gentlemen. Like it was killing them softly. You know, like killing them softly. Yeah, that's what it was, you know.
And of course, G Funky in the building. He called himself the black sheep of the HCP network the other day. I don't know if you agree with that. He called him. He had
there's no black sheep on HCP. I mean, there's no black sheep on HCP.
That's what I'm talking about. There's not. So yeah, G Funky in the building as well. Chicano Prophet, I see him come in the building as well. Power Punchers is back, man, and it's good to be back. Had a long break, and we're gonna get straight into it. Check it out on all the audio forms as well. Calix Boxing 2.0. How you been, D-Style? How you been?
Man, I've been just doing my thing, man. Just from one show to another. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like cruising along. Tomorrow we're gonna do the podcast. You know, like it's gonna be great, and
constant features.
Great, keeping busy.
Features. And look, let's get straight into this. Since it's Power Punchers, who is the Power Puncher of the week? We have some. Look. There was some good power punching going on this past weekend, and this was a great weekend of boxing this past weekend. I mean, it really was one of the best boxing weekends as far as heavy hitters.
All right. I don't know if it was one of the best boxing weekends of all time now. You know what I mean? I don't know about that. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I know you're excited that we're back on the air, Kelly. That's a bit much now, I'd say.
But we had Donaire, we had Lomachenko, we had Benn, we had Bivol. We had all those guys back in action. We got Inoue tomorrow out in Japan. He's fighting some Japanese. He's fighting some cab driver, unfortunately. But Inoue is back in action.
You do know Inoue is the most talked about boxer in all of the YTBC. You know that, right? Every video I watch, I just people just mention him it's like, anyway, what about this? Like, well, why'd you just mention Inoue? That dude's talked about nonstop. Every show, I guarantee you, he's mentioned at least 10 to 12 times. Every show. Even non-boxing shows, like, oh, Inoue this. But anyway, you know what I mean? This dude is talked about all day, every day.
Anyway, moving on. But who's your power puncher of the week? We had some power punchers this weekend. Who's your power puncher of the week?
Conor Benn. I mean, he annihilated. Like, many will say, well, he should have done that. But, like, should he have done that? Like, people will be like, but Pacquiao and Spence beat a younger version of Algieri. True. All true. But it doesn't mean Conor's at that level, like, of a Pacquiao. Like, Pacquiao's, like, over here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Spence is up there, too. Like, we don't know. Like going into this fight, I was honestly thinking to myself, what if this veteran just kind of like gives this guy all types of problems, you know? Like, we didn't really know. He didn't look that good against Granados. So I was coming into this fight thinking to myself, Conor Benn might not be who he is, but guess what? He went out there and he landed the one of the best knockouts this year. And I have to tell you, man, there was a lot of control and restraint, and still he could have punched him again before he went down. Okay. He could have, and it would have been legal. Like, he technically hadn't like fallen yet. You know what I mean? Like Algieri did the Apollo Creed fall. Okay, like you know when Apollo Creed's wife is yelling, "No, it can't be!" I don't know if she got all those words out when Apollo fell down, but nonetheless, yeah. And Conor Benn just like he did like a little, little bot, then he just went back to his corner. Conor Benn. I wanted to give it to Donaire, but it just wasn't as spectacular.
You wanted to give it to Donaire, but you didn't. You didn't do the right thing. And first of all, let me say, Lomachenko could have had it, but instead of going for the finish, he's waving at the corner and showboating, right? Love Lomachenko. Thought he would have had a great performance, and we'll talk about that in a little while, but he was out there, stop it, instead of finishing Comey, which I felt like he had an opportunity to at that point. And of course, and we'll get to Conor Benn's performance in a little while as well, but I loved how he went to the body, then back upstairs and set that up beautifully and worked behind the jab. I thought he had a great performance, but and great knockout against Algieri. But Donaire, D-Style, how could you go against the 39-year-old, 118-pound future first ballot Hall of Famer?
The body shot did hurt me too, though. Like, oh man.
What a year this guy has had. Beating Ubali by knockout and then beating Gaballo by knockout. And by the way, Gaballo wasn't a heavy underdog. I mean, this was getting close in the betting odds. But man, Donaire is the power puncher of the week. What a performance that guy put on. And let's just get to that. Let's hop straight into that. What'd you think about Donaire's performance against Gaballo and what he's doing?
Nonito Donaire.
Let me ask more specifically, D-Style, before you get into it.
Sure.
What do you think about historically what he's doing right now at 118 at 39 years old? It shouldn't be done. Guys that age should not be doing what they're doing in lower weight classes.
No. I mean, this is a normal, in other words. You know what I mean? It's not like a normal thing. And he's looking spectacular. It's not like he's like this old veteran pulling off he's using like roughhouse tactics to frustrate a young guy to pull out a decision at the end. Shout out to Bernard Hopkins, but that's what you did for a while. I'm just saying, okay? But like he's doing it in spectacular fashion, and he's looking explosive. I mean, this guy he's got a right hand now. Calix, I'm going to say something controversial. I think he's a better fighter today than he was in his prime. I really believe that. I do believe Donaire today, this veteran version of Donaire, would find a way because he's more patient. He's more methodical. Okay, his punch placement is better. He has a better right hand. The hook is just as explosive. He maybe isn't as fast, but that's it. Like the other Donaire was a little impatient. It's just. I honestly think you put him in a time machine, send him back in time to fight old school Donaire, right? The young, flashy, top 3 pound for pound guy. I think he beats him. I think this veteran version finds a way to beat him. I think he's better than he's ever been. I'm just saying. I believe
more
that.
Complete than he's ever been, but better is a different art. Like, would you say that Jordan of the late 90s, let's say Jordan of 96 is better than Jordan of, say, 89? Like the freak that Jordan was, although Jordan didn't have any rings yet. The Jordan of 96, a more complete player. He had the fadeaway. He had the complete game. But the Jordan of 89 could just blow by anybody he wanted and score 80, score 60. So I don't know. I would pick
I think when he became a better teammate and got his, you know what I mean? I think overall, it's hard to say because basketball is a team sport. Like he didn't have Pippen in '89. There's so many things, so many factors, right? But gotta be honest, man. I just think I like this version of Donaire, and even if you don't think he's better than he was in his prime, he still presents different challenges than he did back then. And he's just more methodical. And I mean, I personally like methodical fighters, and that's what he is right now, but explosive at the same time. And hey, I mean,
and things are opening
got
up
no choice but to stay in shape. Like his wife's on him all the time. So, you know what I mean? Like his wife's in his corner, like this dude, well, what is he going to do? Go party when he's not supposed to during training camp? He can't do that. You know what I mean? Like that's he's focused. He's doing his thing. And let me just say right now, he would have knocked out Casimiro if that fight happened.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is Casimiro? What a year he has had in reverse. I mean, his manager runs the fight with Donaire, unification fight.
Say that again.
Then he has to fight Rigo, who runs the whole time. So
Say that
stylistically,
again.
it just made him look like average. And then he loses his title on the scale here. So it seems to me like things are opening up for Donaire at 118.
Run, Rigo! Run!
Rigo's still running. He's still running.
He's still
Things are opening up at 118
going.
for Donaire, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you got that belt's going to become vacant. Who knows what they do with that? What if Donaire becomes the guy to fight for the vacant belt? That gives him another belt. And the Inoue fight is looming. The rematch is looming. Because, I mean, just think, Donaire looked good against him in 2019, close loss, puts together 2 straight victories like this. And then Inoue on the other side, he's winning. He's fighting tomorrow against a guy not so great. His eye, if you look at the pictures, his eye isn't looking so great. So things could possibly be opening up for Donaire to possibly become undisputed at 118 in 2022. I mean, what would you put his odds of becoming undisputed at 118 in 2022?
I love
Donaire. Pretty
Donaire.
low because of boxing politics. I don't know if they're going to set up the fights for this to happen. And then he would have to beat Inoue, who, in my opinion, he wouldn't beat. I think highly of Inoue still. What do you think?
You know, I would usually say I agree with you about the politics, but you know what, Calix? Like in these lower weight classes, the fights just happen more. Look at 115. They got trilogies all over the place over there. Like when people say, man, these fights, they don't happen. Like you can't really say that about the lower weight classes, really. You know, I do believe like they can definitely make this fight happen now. Donaire is with PBC, right? He's like with I don't know if he has a deal with Showtime or he's with PBC. I don't know if he has like a Boots Ennis situation going on or what. But for me, man, it's not likely, but possible. I'll put it that way. It's not the politics. It's 2 fists that are tight that are attached to Monster Inoue, is what I think. Yeah, and yeah. I don't think Donaire could beat Inoue. That's just what I think. But hey,
just because Inoue is a different beast, literally a monster. So if you're asking me likely, possible, or probable, I would say possible. Possible. I put it on that level.
The only reason it's considered like Donaire's a big dude for that weight class. That's the only reason I kind of have to think about it, you know, like because you never know. But I would favor Monster Inoue in an 8-4 type decision.
Yeah, and he was talking about possibly moving up or down in weight classes. I hope he stays right put at 118 and continues to fight, and they make those fights and tries to become because there's no reason to not make Inoue versus Donaire too. No reason not to. That would be a beautiful fight, huge fight. That's right. So hopefully that fight happens. Shout out Nando Yamas. Nodito was impatient versus Darchinyan, great fight, and that's to your point, right? He's improved in those areas. He's become more experienced, more intelligent.
I say he wasn't impatient, but I just think Victor Darchinyan was like tailor-made for Donaire. Like if there was ever a fighter tailor-made for him, it was Victor Darchinyan. You know what I mean? It's like God put Victor Darchinyan on this earth and said, "You're put on this earth to get knocked the fuck out by Donaire." Like that's how I feel about Victor Darchinyan. Like he's tailor-made for him, bro. Like he's like totally made for him.
G Funky saying he's getting hated out there. My guy G Funky. I just shared the G Funky Hate Watchers has something to watch on Monday night.
He gets so much love that he's tired of the love. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like he's just tired of it.
Yeah, Darchinyan was great, man. I miss Darchinyan. What a hell of a fighter that guy was. So I mean, who was the most impressive fighter of the weekend to you? Because there's a lot to choose from. Lomachenko against Comey. You had Conor Benn against Algieri. Bivol fought. And then you got Donaire. like we just said against Gaballo, who wasn't a big underdog. Gaballo was not a big underdog in this fight. They were giving him some love. I
I
mean,
have to
just
be
for
honest with you,
reference for
Calix.
people out there who aren't betting people, Vegas gave Gaballo a better chance of beating Donaire than they gave Kambosos of beating
I have to
Teofimo.
be very honest with you, and maybe because like I just feel like the bookies just got it wrong for this one and the O'Bali fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like both those fights were going to be close according to the bookies. And I have to be honest, I called both of them. I thought it was like I knew it was to knock this dude out. I just knew it. Like
I did
I
see you
said,
tweet that.
he's going to stop this kid. Like I saw him, and then I said, and then I looked up his record, and I just said to myself, he's not ready for Donaire. He just isn't. And Donaire knew it. In fact, Donaire retweeted my post when I said it was going to knock him out. Even Donaire co-signed it. You know what I mean? He knew. I should probably put some money on it, but what are you going to do?
And look at that comment right there. Lomachenko is back and maybe better. Is Lomachenko better? The Lomachenko revenge tour is in effect, D-Style. It's in effect. It's in effect. And we'll talk about that more.
Are we in the Matrix right now? Like, are the agents taking over? Like, is that what's going on right now? Have they like just made us take the wrong pill? Like, what the fuck is going on right here?
I'm red
if you would have told
right
me
now.
last year, like, Teofimo, bro, he's going to be on a downhill, like spiral against, Cambozas, and Loma's going to like arguably be once again the best lightweight in the world, right? I said arguably, because we can't say because he doesn't have the belts, right? But still, right? But like it's like that. It's like nobody says it, but everybody knows. You know what I mean? But you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, you know when everybody just knows something, but they just they don't want to say it. Like everybody knows Loma's the best lightweight in the world. Like everybody knows it. Like I know it. Everybody knows it. You know? Look, I still believe Teofimo's a bad matchup for Loma. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Stylistically. But from what I saw last night, Loma hasn't lost a step. Loma is still looking good. People criticize him for showing mercy, but I don't know what the big deal was. Like
it was
he won anyway, right?
That was
like it's not like Max Kellerman's like, oh, he didn't know. I forgot what the fuck Max Kellerman said. He's always on some bullshit, okay? But
when we say, just to be clear, when we say that Lomachenko is the best lightweight, we're basically assuming Teofimo is campaigning at 140 already, because he fought his last fight at 135. They basically said that without saying it. So he's out of the equation at this point. So it's not like we're not showing Teofimo love or anything like that by not ranking him ahead of Lomachenko. You have to take into account that the year of 2021, what it has been, and also that Teofimo is moving up to 140. He's going to campaign there. But when I look at the picture at 135, I see guys like Tank. I see guys like Ryan Garcia. I see more on Tank in a little bit. I see Haney. Haney has had a good 2021, in my opinion, compared to other fighters. He's had a good 2021. That's the only other guy I would see that you could throw into the equation. Kambosos, of course. So if you want to say Kambosos is the top guy at 135, it makes sense. He has the most belts. But I'm asking, who is the best guy? Who do you think is the best guy in your head at 135? And to me, it's Lomachenko. I mean, I saw him Saturday night. He looked like the old Lomachenko before the Teofimo fight. I saw that same guy against Nakatani. So that's 2 straight fights he's put together where he's put himself back in the mix for bigger fights at 135.
Yeah.
And he's planted his foot there and said, hey, I want Kambosos or I want Haney. Give me one of those guys. And if I'm being honest, I pick him over both of those guys.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think I would favor Lomachenko against all these guys, against all of them. You know what I mean? I would favor him. And I do think he's going to be the one to get the fight too. Like, I do. And you know why? Because he has a history of doing this. Like Loma will take a pay cut to go to Australia and get this guy. He will. He's already taken a pay cut to fight Teofimo. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to unify all the belts. So, like, I don't see a lot of the other guys doing that, you know? And I could see people like the consensus saying he's the best, this weight class. I do. I think he looked great against Comey. Comey could still beat a lot of guys. Like this is a loaded division, by the way. Just side note. Yeah. But Lomachenko looked spectacular. There's no other way to put it. I think he looked really good. Like I do.
Did he have the most impressive performance of the weekend, in your opinion?
He did. I think he looked spectacular. I personally might have given Comey one round, but I think it was a shutout. Like I think he had he's pitched a shutout, in my opinion. Great performance, and I think Comey is a better fighter than the guy than who Donaire fought, who Benn fought. So we got to grade it that way. I think it was a great fight, man. I think it was a spectacular performance. Not as spectacular as a Nakatani win, but pretty close.
Yeah, and I'd say given the competition, I'd agree with you. Most impressive performance, most impressive fighter of the weekend. I was kind of split between him and Donaire, but like you said, the competition was better. Comey's just a better fighter all around. I just think that Lomachenko has put himself right back to where he was before. Not quite, because the pound for pound rankings that I'm seeing, he's somewhere between 7 and 10 in rankings, and before he was either 1A or 1B. So he hasn't put himself back. He's probably one big fight away from putting himself back in the mix of top 3 or 4 guys pound for pound in the world. But he's put himself in position to fight for that again, right? And he's done it by stringing together 2 good wins in 2021. Not great wins, but good wins. 2 great performances against good competition. Yeah. So I would rank him number 1. I just thought he did a good mix of everything in this fight against a dangerous opponent. I thought that Benn looked great against Algieri. I was impressed. This is probably the most complete performance I've seen from him against good competition. And Algieri is Algieri, right? He's past his prime. Decent fighter at this point. I don't know what I would call him. Maybe C level, C plus, something like that. But the way he did it, you can just tell he worked behind the jab, really good body punching, good defense, and he set all that up to land power punches upstairs, and he went for the kill. Complete performance. And he also set himself up for a bigger fight. Now he's calling out Adrian Broner. I don't know what you think about that. Broner's Broner. But it does make sense from a business standpoint, right? Because Broner is the perfect gatekeeper opponent, right? Like he's a guy you should look good against if you're a great fighter. You should look great against. But he's also going to bring a lot of noise, a lot of promotion before, and it's going to be fun. Yeah. Broner is never in boring fights. Like it's going to be a fun fight. So it makes sense from a business standpoint, right?
It does. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Broner. I mean, if go back in time, rewind when he beat DeMarco, right? And then like somebody turns and tells you, this kid's going to be a fucking jobber. He's going to be like, they're going to be feeding this guy to like up and coming boxers in a couple of years. You would have said what?
You're crazy.
Like, I don't know what happened to Adrian Broner. I mean, obviously, like, I never bought he's the next Mayweather bullshit. I never bought that. But I never thought he would be in this position.
Uh-huh. I agree.
Leave Adrian Broner alone. I'm going to do a video, bro, crying. Leave him alone. Leave Adrian Broner alone, okay? Stop. Can these women stop, like, blackmailing the dude? Okay? Like, this
but the funny thing about that is, dude. He's unblackmailable, though, right? Like,
yeah, he was like, "Well, show the shit." Like I fucked you for free. He said, like, and then she deleted her account. Like he's already done pornos and shit. You think he gives a fuck?
I know.
But leave him alone if he's sitting in coach. You know what I mean? The dude was sitting in coach in the plane, bro, and like some dude like videotaped it and and made fun of him. Like Adrian Broner flying coach. This is sad. Adrian Broner's just like, I mean, it's comfortable. It's so comfortable. So leave him alone. Leave the guy alone. Leave him alone because he has an allowance by Al Heyman. Just leave the dude alone. Stop trying to don't put him in the ring with Conor Benn. Don't do it. Please don't.
No, I mean, but from Conor Benn's standpoint, it makes perfect sense business wise. However, I'd like to see Conor Benn call out better competition. Obviously, the interesting thing about 147, as our guy G Funky always said, with all the talent it had, and with it being historically a sexy division, it's like the perfect weight class, right? For where the talent meets the power, and it's a great weight class. And I've heard you say historically it's better than the heavyweight division. I think that's, I'm kind of paraphrasing.
I mean, welterweight is where it's at. I know Maestro's in the chat. He's all about like rah, heavyweights all day, every day. Calix is like, oh, I'm a big guy, so heavyweights is where it's at. But everybody knows this is where it's at, bro. No, nobody wants to see elephants fight, okay? Yes, the elephant could squash the jaguar. I get it. But like two jaguars fighting is more appealing, okay, than two rodents fighting and two elephants fighting. It just is. That's the welterweight division.
Right. But my question would be, do you think this new crop of guys will be more ready to get in there with each other and mix it up than this old crop of guys? Because the old crop of guys, what made this a dumpster juice division is mostly PBC fighters who were getting paid well to fight average opposition and never really had a motive to get in there and mix it up with each other.
We had a good run, though.
Boots, Virgil, Conor Benn, among others. There's a lot coming up at 147 right now. It's starting. That recycling process that always happens is starting.
But Kel, we had a good run though. Like when Thurman was the champion, and he fought Garcia and Porter, and then Porter had fought Brooke, and Brooke fought like Spence when he came back down. Like we had a really good run, but then like it kind of just stopped there. Like nothing happened for like the last 3 years of significance. The book, which is crazy.
The book never developed to a finish, right?
Yeah, we're like flipping through the pages, like, oh man, this book's getting good. And then it was like that dude that's writing the Game of Thrones books, like, there's no more. That's it. Like, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's it. Like, you just gotta make it up as you go now. You know what I mean? So now, like, look, we had a little bit of like when Pacquiao fought Thurman, like in 2019, by the way. And like we had Crawford go through like a sloppy seconds tour. You know, that's what he was doing for a while. And like oh wow, can Crawford like that's when you know a division is stalling, when they do the whole like, can he beat him better than this other guy did? Like, why are we doing this? Why not just have those two fight each other? Well, why do we need to see Crawford fight Khan to see if he could beat Khan better than like Garcia beat Khan? Like,
right.
Why not just have him fight Garcia? Like what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So it's the welterweight division needs a boost, and we have these young guys like Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, Conor Benn, right?
It's a good mix, right?
I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss off some boxing fans, but I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. Right now, I don't want Boots Ennis to fight Virgil. I don't want Virgil to fight Conor Benn. I don't want Conor Benn to fight Virgil or Boots. I don't want any of that. Okay? You know why? Because I'd rather them fight these champions. Okay? Because what do you mean they're just going to, like, Crawford and Spence and Ugos aren't going to fight each other, right? And while these young guys kill each other off. You know what I mean? Like, no. Like, how about you guys? If you're not going to fight each other, then you fight these young guys. You know what I mean? That's what I think. And then once they become champions, then they can fight each other. But we need something, man. And it is frustrating hearing a Conor Benn say, look, I'm tired of these tests. Like, I want to fight somebody already, right? And, they're moving them up, but not fast enough, brother.
Not fast enough. Let me get to the super chat. Does anyone want to pay Crawford? Doesn't seem so. It still seems like Crawford's the
Yeah.
plague, right? That nobody wants to deal with. And maybe it gives him an out that he's not the big draw, unfortunately, that he should be. And it seems to me like Crawford's sort of getting that point, and he's been more vocal on social media. He's
Yeah.
been more vocal and putting pressure on Spence. And it's getting to the point where Spence has to answer, right? Because everybody sees it at this point. It's like the bully that keeps picking on the kid and or the tough guy that picks on another tough guy at school. And then it finally gets to the point where everyone sees it. Everyone sees it. So you have to respond at that point. And that's where it's at with Spence. So I think it's to
Yeah,
the
but
point
Cal,
now where
Spence isn't like that big of a draw either. That's the frustrating part about this. You know what I mean?
right.
Like he's not exactly Felix Trinidad or De La Hoya or like he just is. That's not Pacquiao Mayweather when they were ruling 147. That's not them. Like Spence sold 300,000, bro. So when they're like, he sold more than Crawford. Okay, bro, like figure it out. Like 55-45. I don't give a fuck, but like Spence isn't exactly like the big A side. You know what I mean? That people are making out to be. He's not.
Yeah, I get that feeling that they're gonna come out and say we need a lighter touch first, and then we're gonna do the Crawford fight later in 2022. I think that's what's gonna happen here.
Fuck it. Come
I
on,
hope
fight
we
him
get
with an
straight.
eye patch. I don't give a fuck.
I agree. I like to see us get straight to it, but I think that's where we're at, unfortunately.
Why not? If you're, why not go after Ugas if you're Crawford right now?
Yeah,
You
I
still got to
know.
get that belt if you want to go undisputed, right? Like that belt's still there to grab. So
That's the fight. I'd like to see that. I don't mind that in the interim. And guess what? Who's to say Ugas doesn't beat Spence? Who's to say?
never
Ugas looked
know.
really good against Pacquiao. Ugas looked really good against Sean Porter. That was a tight fight.
Ugas,
Ugas is
yeah.
a good fighter.
I thought he
So
beat
who's to
Porter.
say? Yeah. So shout out to Nando for the appreciate the super chat love. I don't agree with this comment. Conor Benn is JCC Junior 2.0. I don't think anybody is JCC Junior 2.0. I don't think that could ever be done and
Let me
replicated. I
put
don't
it
think.
this way, bro. If Conor Benn goes out there and gives it his best, like just doing that, he's already not Chavez Jr. It's not about that Chavez lost against Martinez. It's not about losing. It's about his lack of work ethic. Like if Conor Benn just shows up to training camp, he's already not Chavez Jr.
If he doesn't sniff lines of cocaine and shadow box in pink underwear and eat Lucky Charms and move furniture away in the living room and train there for a big fight while his dad is yelling at him from the pool. Not look, the bar is very low. There'll never be another Chavez
If
Jr.
Conor
It will never
Benn
happen.
doesn't get shit faced drunk and high as fuck, okay, and has 3 hookers, right, in bed with him in a hotel room, right, and just leaves his wallet, okay, in the dresser, right, so they can take it and steal his money. As long as Conor Benn doesn't do that, he's good. He's in the clear. He ain't Chavez Jr.
We could go all night with that. But look, I gotta tell you, I was impressed with Conor Benn. I wanted to ask you this question. Because welterweight, this new crop is a good mix. Virgil Ortiz is exciting. He looks like a future star, can't miss star. Boots Ennis looks supremely talented, very
Does.
talented. The technique is off the charts. And Conor Benn brings the over the pond base. I mean, any big fighter from over there is going to have a big. I mean, they're crazy about boxing over there. They're going to have a big base coming up. Obviously, he has a name up out there. So a lot going on with this new crop. So let me ask you this though: since
Sure.
Conor Benn is from across the pond, they've always done this
Yeah.
thing where they fight locally, then they fight regionally, then they fight in the biggest stage over there. Let's say in the
Which makes
UK.
sense. Yeah.
And then they graduate to where, okay, let's go get our super fight, our bigger fight in America. Since the world is getting smaller, since we can watch from America fights from overseas easily now, is that still relevant? Like, do these guys need to come over to America to prove themselves now? Like, does Conor Benn have to come over here and beat an American fighter in order to prove himself? Or can he continue to build his base over there, fighting in front of a lot of people, and say, hey, Adrian Broner, you come over here in a super fight. Hey, Virgil Ortiz, or not, maybe not Virgil Ortiz, but hey, Ugas, come over here. Come over here to the UK and fight in front of 70,000 people in a soccer stadium. Are we to that point now? Have we graduated past that point where UK fighters who have huge bases don't have to come over here anymore to fight?
I am proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. Let me tell you something, man, because when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Let me tell you something, man. If you hurt my friends and you hurt my pride, you got to be a man. You got to stand and fight. I am a real American. Let me tell you something, Cal. You gotta be patriotic, Alex. It's about USA. USA. You gotta do the fights here in the USA, baby. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying that's the movement today. You know what I mean? But to answer your question, here are some truths and facts that cannot be denied.
Okay.
All bullshit aside. All the biggest gates in history have been in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
All of them. We have the biggest economy in the world here, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure Lomachenko could sell out a stadium in Ukraine. I'm sure he can. But where does he fight? Here, right? Manny Pacquiao could probably sell out a stadium in the Philippines and all that. But where does he fight? Here. Now, granted, the UK is probably second in terms of gate and all that, right? So it's not like they're not that far behind in terms of gate money and all that in the US, right? As long as Conor Benn or any other UK fighter, for that matter, can generate more money here in their own country than an opponent in the US can, then they should stay in the UK, right? Until they're offered more money to fight here, okay? Because if you fight in the U.S., man, like there's just, and now it can't be a ghost town either, but if it's the right fight, the thing with
if it's Virgil Ortiz in Texas or Vegas or in L.A.,
that's what I'm saying. Like now we're talking, and guess what? The pandemic's it's going away little by little, taking baby steps. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And those fans travel and they come over here. They bring UK with them. You know what I mean? And we just got to keep that in mind. Like, at the end of the day, it's wrong, right, whatever it is, the money's here. Like, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? If it's the right situation, right? That's the way it is. Like, sometimes it's not the case. Like, at the moment, Cambodians can make more money in Australia than he can in the U.S. at the moment. You know what I mean? Could that change on the line? Yes. But at the moment, the money's over there. It just depends.
Yeah. And I want to say shout out to El Chile and our guy Chicano Prophet and them scoring fights over there. And I was glad to see that they didn't put Timothy Bradley and Manny Pacquiao number one
what, Alex?
On that robbery list.
It's a very controversial fight. You know what I mean? Like that, I think they need to sit down and watch. Okay?
What's that?
And if you remember that very controversial fight that they really need to watch of Vladimir Klitschko and Ibragimov? I think they need to sit down through 12 rounds of that fight. You know what I mean? Prove that they're real boxing fans by doing it, right? And then score the fight for us.
You think that should happen? I was thinking Kovalev Ward, but if you want to do that one.
I just want to know that I could sit through it. I just want to know they could finish watching that fight.
It's one of the worst. Or they should. You know what they should do if we really want to torture him?
Yeah.
Because this was actually a fight that was close. One of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. Sergio Mora versus Shane Mosley.
Oh,
Do
they gotta
that one
sit like
actually.
if they look if Chile wants to prove that they are real boxing fans, okay, they need to sit down and score the Latin Snake versus Azúcar. Remember it said Azúcar on the trunks? Shane Mosley. Because let me tell you something, everybody except Jim Lampley was hyped. This is why we watch Shane Mosley. This is why. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, what the fuck? Come on.
One of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, man, fight's terrible.
But yeah, that's where I'm at with kind of Ben. Let me bring up this too. Mm-hmm. Let's go on the other side of this because I don't know how you felt about Bivol on Saturday. I'm at the point, dude. Is he overhyped? Is the 175-pound division overhyped? Or let's take it further. And I bring this up because of Canelo and what's going on with Canelo. Mm-hmm. There just isn't a guy between 160 and 175 who stands out for a Canelo fight. Between 160 and 175, is it historically bad right now? Like, I don't see that guy. Like, usually for a superstar, there's that guy that could possibly give him problems or set up a big fight. Golovkin was that guy at 160, not so much anymore. But 160 and 170, between those three divisions, I really don't see anybody who's super impressive, but besides Canelo or anybody who's going for it. Like, I was watching Bivol on Saturday. I'm like, this is it? Like, this is it. I mean,
this is it?
I like him. He's a like good
in the movie
fighter.
Black Panther. Like, this is your king? This is it? What?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. But if you're telling me like this is the top guy at 175 right now, and then Zurdo Ramirez, who puts us to sleep every time he fights. If these are your top guys at 175, I mean.
So he's telling me that Zurdo Ramirez is not Mexican style? Is that what he's saying?
Basically.
No, I'll say this. I do think Bivol's good. I do. I'm not going to call him overrated because I never rated him like amazing or something, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if overrated is the right term, but you know what's happening? Like you kind of said it. Like there isn't somebody that stands out to fight Canelo at the moment. You know what I mean? That could change. You know what I mean? Things happen. But like the UFC women's champion, nobody thought could touch her, and then she just lost last weekend. So anything could happen, right? Amanda Nunes, that is. But
yeah,
like what Canelo's doing isn't normal, and I think we've gotten used to it, and we like think it's normal. The dude moves up to 200, and people are like being like a little too critical, in my opinion. Like you know what I mean?
A little.
He's more like Chicano Prophet pointed something out to me the other day, and it's true. Remember when Ward moved up to fight Kovalev? The commentating team was making such a big deal, and rightfully so, about the difference of super middleweight to light heavyweight. He's fighting a much bigger man than he's used to now. Kovalev's a big dude, like you know what I mean. Now, granted, Kovalev wasn't just big; he was really good. Like so, there's more to it. But what Canelo's doing isn't normal. And so when we see a fighter have either an off night or not his best night, like a Bivol, right? He doesn't look spectacular because in order for him to look spectacular, he needs to have a spectacular night. You know what I mean? Everything needs to go perfectly for him. Whereas someone like Canelo, it doesn't need to go perfect for him. Like I don't think the plant fight went perfect for him, but he still looked good because he's that good. You know what I mean? So Bivol has an off night, like most athletes in the world do. You know what I mean? Or he just doesn't have his best night, but he gets the job done, like most athletes do, in a very tough sport like boxing, especially. And people kind of start thinking, this guy he ain't all that. Well, that's because you're picturing him fighting Canelo in your head. That's why.
True.
Like that's like the bar is up here in these weight classes.
Is it though? Is it? Or is it?
Is
These
the bar
guys
this high at 154? Is it this high?
no,
Is there Canelo at 154 that you're like thinking like up here?
but let me throw this out there. Is it because are these guys so paralyzed and unwilling to fight tough competition around them because they're afraid if they lose, they'll lose out in the Canelo sweepstakes, like they'll go to the back of the line. And what I mean is, yes, all three of these guys,
Steel sharpens steel.
but Bivol, Beterbiev, and Zerto are all fighting within 2 weeks of each other.
Yep.
Why didn't any of them fight each other?
That is a great question, right? Now, just cheap plug. I'm going to have Roberto Diaz hopefully next week, right? Golden Boy promotes Zurdo, and according to him, in an interview he had with Maestro, actually, or I think it was Maestro, or I think that was one, but I forgot where I heard it, but he said, we were surprised when Bivol's team just pulled out. You know what I mean? Like last second told them, no, we have other plans. They were supposed to fight each other. Like we were supposed to be talking about Bivol, Zurdo this weekend. So it's whatever, but to answer your question, does Usain Bolt break the records he breaks as often as he did it if he wasn't tested like he was? You know?
I guess the point I'm getting at is these guys aren't facing each other, the top guys in these divisions, and they're still not looking great to me. I mean, to me, if you're
not fighting each other,
opposition or above average opposition and you're a great fighter, you should be looking great. And
can I put something?
Bivol looked great.
Let me propose this to you.
Zerto got an early knockout in his last fight, so he looked a little more
I hear you. What makes Donaire so good right now? Why is he such a good fighter right now at age 39?
He's knocking guys out. I mean,
but what got him to this point?
Oh, he fought. He's experienced. He fought tough competition.
He's experienced. He fought like iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Even in a loss, I'm sure he learned a thing or two being in the ring with Rigondeaux for 12 rounds. You know what I mean? I'm sure he learned a thing or two even being with the Axeman in the ring for as long as he lasted, right? Like even in losses, fighting much bigger man and moving back down, like I'm sure he's learned, right? These guys are not fighting each other. So if Plant had let's say hypothetically, Plant would have fought better opposition. But let's say he would have fought Benavidez. Let's say both those guys fought each other twice, like two hard, tough fights. They would have had that experience. He would have had an experience a much tougher fight, thus making him a much better fighter. And he might have given Canelo a much better fight even, right? These guys are not fighting each other. They're just waiting for a big payday.
They were both worried that they would lose out on a possible Canelo payday by fighting tough competition, and they were paralyzed and instead went the weaker route. And that's what all these guys are doing. That's to my point. I mean, Chicano Prophet brings it up right here. None of these dudes had to fight each other. Only Canelo has to go through the gauntlet. And you brought up this point. It's we're grading these guys on two different curves. We're grading Canelo way up here, but what about these other guys? Oh, Charlo deserves a fight based off of what? Charlo hasn't fought the best guys in this competition.
We got people that say things like, oh, Canelo's the most protected fighter in boxing. Like, I mean, wow. I don't know. But obviously their perspective isn't there. You know what I mean? Like it's rightfully so the standard for Canelo's high. I get that. And it should be, right? Mm-hmm. But like sometimes people don't even acknowledge that they're looking at it from a higher level. You know what I mean? That's the problem. Like these guys are not testing each other, man. Like they're not. They're not like you get better when you fight the best. You know what I mean? Like the best around you, and you test each other. You lift each other's game. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. Like I'm sure it's like that at every level. Like you play basketball, right? Mm-hmm. What if you always faced weak opposition that you dominated every night?
Yeah.
Would it get better?
No.
You wouldn't get better if you like. I play chess. In order for me to get better as a chess player, I need to play people that are either at my level or higher. If I keep playing weak dudes, I'll win all the time. Checkmate, checkmate. Hell yeah, checkmate. Then the time comes where I play a really good player and I'm not ready for it, right? That's the way it is in life. Why wouldn't it be that way in boxing?
Yeah.
Like these guys need to start fighting each other. That will make them better. And you know what it is? Flawless victory syndrome. These dudes are scared to lose, man. Like they're too fucking scared to lose, and it's hurting the sport. Like being scared of taking a loss, it's hurting the sport. And I know this is way off topic, but it was so refreshing hearing Kambosos just say, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I just want to fight these guys. Yeah. People keep telling me, like, oh, don't do it. You know, you could milk this out. He's like, I don't want to. He's like, I'd rather fail. He said, I'd rather fail chasing greatness than never going for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's refreshing, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And I do think, Calix, like, it's starting to, it's like a slow process, but we're getting away from it. You know what I mean?
Oh, because no doubt about it.
People keep saying, oh, the Mayweather blueprint. There really wasn't a blueprint. He just happened to still be undefeated after fighting a bunch of good guys. You know what I mean? Like, it was like Bob Arum didn't sit there like, yeah. So the plan's to have you undefeated. So we're going to have you fight Corrales, Castillo, Jesus Chavez. And like that's not like the plan to go undefeated. That's the plan to like test the dude and see if he's for real. You know what I mean? And he came out undefeated out of that.
Fighting 6 times and winning Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year. I mean, fighting Genaro Hernandez and then defending that title less than 2 months later against Angel Manfredi. Steel sharpens steel. So they didn't catch the first half of the Mayweather book. They only caught the second half. They caught the Money Mayweather chapter. They didn't catch the Pretty Boy Floyd chapter.
What makes an undefeated record special is when it's like one guy that emerges on top. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We can't have, just like in football, you can't have multiple quarterbacks. You can have, you know, like Chris Rock with that joke, like hike, and then she wants to say hike, and well, you can have like, oh, I'm Money May, no, I'm Money May, no, I'm a Money May. Like you can, like Tank, Devin, Shakur will all be fighting in the same division soon. Can't like all be undefeated. Like they have to fight each other. You know what I mean? And only one can emerge undefeated, if any of them do. That's it.
Yeah. And speaking of easy touches, this is the last topic I wanted to touch about. Tank Davis is a perfect segue. We still haven't seen his pay-per-view numbers. They're still not out there. Mm-hmm. Although I'm hearing rumblings, they were clearly under 100,000.
I believe it.
I don't know if you caught this. ESPN in all its glory put Tank Davis number 10 in their pound-for-pound rankings after his great performance with tough fighter Isaac Cruz. That's over George Kambosos, who is not on the pound-for-pound rankings. Also over Nonito Donaire, also not on the pound-for-pound rankings. Just 2 guys, to name a few.
Yeah.
This is how guys get away with this stuff. This ESPN is not, we don't consider them reputable as far as stuff like this, but with casuals, they're reputable. Like somebody's going to go on ESPN to see what the pound-for-pound rankings are and see Tank Davis at number 10. I can't believe it when I see stuff like this. I mean, you have Teddy Atlas voting on this. You have Tim Bradley. So you have some knowledgeable people. How do they put Tank Davis above a guy who struggled with Isaac Cruz, struggled a bit with Matteo Barrios, over Kambosos, who beats Teofimo for pretty much all the belts at 135 after Teofimo beats Lomachenko? How is this possible? How is this possible to be that dumb? I don't understand it. And the
I know. I think I know the answer to this, by the way. But
go ahead, take a stab at it.
They want access to Tank. Like if you listen closely, like all week, right? All week, all I kept hearing was Floyd. Why don't they have Tank pound for pound? And I think it's because you guys hated me, so you don't want to give him any love, and it's unfair to Tank. And does racism play a factor in the sport? Absolutely, it does. Like, wait, what? Wait a minute, right? So Floyd, I honestly think successfully, and Leonard Allerby, and the whole Money team they successfully guilted ESPN to put him on the pound for pound list.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. They made him feel guilty for not having him on the pound for pound. Point blank, period. That's what they did. They successfully did it. They allowed the Mayweather promotion team to hold him ransom, right? And this is very real. Like, as soon as Tank was removed from 130-pound ratings in the ring, they shut out the ring. The ring is not even allowed to cover his fights,
Mm-hmm.
So they probably said to themselves, just put him in the top 10. You know what I mean? And because nobody else is bitching like this. That's what it is. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, it's really bad, in my opinion. Really, really bad. It's one of the worst that I've seen. And I'm getting frustrated seeing it. And what do you make about, real quick, tanking the pay-per-view thing? Because the pay-per-view numbers don't seem to be coming in the way they'd expect. Do you think this is going to backfire? Do you think they're going to get to the point where they have to step them up now? Because this model that they're doing is not working. Because it's clearly the lack of B-side is hurting him when it comes to pay-per-view numbers, obviously. Because he does have star qualities. As much as we knock him, he's a knockout artist. He's fun to watch. And for a guy who is quick, fast, punching power, some good technical ability, he gets hit a lot. So he's vulnerable as well. That has all the makings for a star, but it's not working right now because I think with the full court, even with the full court press from the mainstream boxing media, ESPN and such, people still aren't buying. There's still a detachment there. Although he is drawing some fans, there's no question about that, to the live gates, there is a disconnect there.
Yeah, but there's no correlation like between good live gate and good pay-per-view numbers. The best example I can give you, Gennady Golovkin sold out the Staples Center and Madison Square Garden. It was not a big pay-per-view draw. Right. So outside of the Canelo fights, it didn't sell very well. So when people point at the sold out arena in Atlanta and by the way, they did not sell out the Staples Center, but whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever to me. Like, they had a good amount of people there, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're selling pay-per-view. Okay, that's not what it means at all. It was. I could have told them it's a terrible idea to go head to head with the most popular sport in the United States. Like, I'm sorry, that's a stupid decision. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you're not just going head to head with a sport. You're going head to head like with with Sunday Night Football against the most popular sport in the country.
Right. By far.
Like, this is not just like you're going head to head with UFC or another boxing event like this is football, bro. You know what I mean? And I didn't like the idea personally. I think they should have just done it on Saturday night. It's epic because Leonard Allerby was lecturing like Hearn and saying he wants to slap Hearn and all this other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna slap the dude. Like I know how to fight. I train all the time. All I've ever seen him do was hold like Floyd's ankles when he does push-ups. That's it. That's all I've ever seen Leonard Allerby do in the gym. All right. And rub Floyd like between rounds, or his tongue's out like that. I don't know what that was about. But anyway, okay. Nostradamus, decided to come out and say that that Hearn doesn't know what he's doing. It was like they had Haney fight the same night Chappelle was doing the show. How dumb is that? Not as dumb as going head to head against Sunday Night Football. Not that dumb, right? Alex, think about it. Like, football fans are watching football from like the morning, like from noon to till it's over. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna stop and then fork out $70 to watch Tank fight against a dude they never heard about. Who's gonna fight? Oh yeah, Isaac Cruz. Oh, okay. Like, who's that dude? I don't know who he is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, Isaac Cruz? Like really? I like Isaac Cruz, but everybody knew he wasn't at that level. And I'll tell you what. I don't think this fight sold, man. I had a feeling it didn't sell because I didn't buy it. And I know a lot of fight fans that didn't buy it.
I didn't buy it.
They watched it, but I didn't buy it. Because roll your boat gently down.
Wait.
You know what I mean? Like they took care of that shit. They watched it later. You know what I mean? Like, but terrible decision to have that pay-per-view on a Sunday in the middle of football season. And the thing is, this is like when football's heating up, like these games are matter more and more. You know what I mean? Like we're getting closer to the playoffs, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. And look, that's our final thoughts on that. It's been a great show, man. This thing went by quick. And let everybody know where to go next.
Absolutely. You guys make sure, I'm going to put the link once again. I want everybody in the chat right now, right, to look at the chat. Go to the chat. You're going to see a link, okay? The Shoe Shine. Go ahead over to the Shoe Shine. Support Dave from the 408 and Drew Evo, right? They're going to have a great show, okay? So go support them. You know what I mean? And I heard that 408 is going to bust out with some mariachi, okay? Shout out to Vicente Fernandez. If I had the pipes, I would start singing, but I can't do it, okay? So go support them tomorrow, HCP prime time, and make sure you check out the show tomorrow. It should be a good one, okay, on my channel. Women Crushing It Wednesday on Wednesdays. Make sure you check that out on Christine's. The roundtable will be on Maestro A Boxing this week. Make sure you check that out. And, of course, Ringside Reporter on Sunday nights. And Long Live Boxing, now part of the HCP family. Go ahead and you check them out as well, man. Go ahead. You go and you support them. And I'll tell you right now, okay? Chief Funky is not the black sheep of HCP. He's got so much love. Okay, I'm just saying. The love is real. All right? But go ahead and check it out. The link's in the chat. Go support the Shoe Shine.
And support this whole network, man. And I'm proud to be a part of this network. It's been great so far. And looking forward to doing many, 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 many more shows here on this network. So that being said, appreciate y'all spending y'all's Monday night with us. Go over to the next one. Appreciate y'all support. God bless. Peace.
Peace.